Hi, this is Tony Chapman for the Dales Report. This segment's called Taking to the Streets. We take world leaders, put them in the back seat, take advantage of the stimulus that's around us, and ask the questions that you want answered.
Before we came on air, you were talking about sort of having waterfront or access to waterfront. And what was running in the back of my head is I was thinking, I really hope it's not too close to the waterfront because he might be underwater. Which means it changes a bunch of stuff, and where crops will grow, where fish will be, what cycles of temperature won't be the same everywhere. Climate change may mean that lake regions are more stabilized, and therefore you want to grow crops closer to there and not in central regions. I'm principally looking this year in tech for things that actually work to make it so that people who are ill get diagnosed faster and fixed quicker, geographies in which you can do it. So if Canada's jammed with privacy concerns and all this stuff, and therefore we can't apply the best, cancer diagnostic tools or public domain information, whatever. If this is a bad geography, what geographies are best for advancing IT platforms to figure out if you're ill and how to treat you? Because those geographies will get busy. Like in China, I suspect it's easier to get rapid treatment because the notion of privacy of information is zero. And so I'm looking at these things saying, where does it come from? It doesn't matter. It's when does it land here and how do you commercialize it?
How long out do you see? Because you mentioned China, and I see that as a very long-term game. How do you find the timeline that works best for you?
It depends what you want to do. Like I was chatting with a doctor, and she's a cancer doctor, and she's an advisor on some things and to the government. And what we agreed on is in China, if, for example, they decided that we need a hospital that specializes in this kind of cancer treatment, it's going to be built here, come back in 6 months and a 500-bed hospital will exist. It will have all the technology aimed at it, and they will do it. Try that in Canada. Try that in America, unless it's a private sector hospital. Come back in 6 months, and they will have had the first of 50 reviews. And so I don't know that China, from an adoption of things that make sense, I think is one of the most rapid places in which it will occur. So I'd like to be able to watch what they adopt. And so your question of what am I looking for? Big public policy changes. What was the big policy change around cannabis? It's happening globally. We know that one. Is that going to change around things like psychedelics? I think so. If there's evidence, where can you get evidence? You can do a lot of work in Switzerland. You can do a lot of work in Australia and bring that evidence to North America. Then you'll see policy change. I think you're going to see policy change around things like AI and robotics. The idea that we don't like robots seems crazy because all these people are also saying we also want to keep the jobs for who's here, but the people who are here are getting old and don't want to occupy the jobs, and we're not allowing immigration to occur in some of these countries, so robots are the answer. So there's going to be a reality of automation that's just a demographics thing that goes back to health, goes back to... So for me, I'm looking at what are those big pieces of age and public policy coupled with things that are just irrational responses.